There is a book in the Bible that almost did not make it in. Rabbis argued over it. Scholars questioned it. Some found it too dark, too cynical, too comfortable with doubt to sit alongside Isaiah and the Psalms. And yet here it is, 12 chapters tucked between Proverbs and the Song of Solomon, saying things that no other biblical writer quite dares to say out loud. If this channel is new to you, subscribe now. We dig into the texts that most people skip, and Ecclesiastes is one of the most skipped and most needed books in the entire Bible. The book opens with a word. One word, repeated like a drumbeat through all 12 chapters. The Hebrew is Hevel. Most English translations render it vanity. A few say meaningless. But neither of those quite captures what the word actually means in the body, in the bones of the language. Hevel literally means breath, vapor. The kind of thing you see on a cold morning when you exhale, and for 1 second there it is, visible, real, present, and then it is gone. Not evil, not worthless, just fleeting. Hevel appears 38 times in this book. 38 times the writer exhales that word like a man who has seen too much and is being honest about what he found. And the writer has seen a great deal. The voice in Ecclesiastes calls himself Qohelet. The name is sometimes translated teacher, sometimes preacher, sometimes the one who gathers. Tradition has long associated this voice with Solomon, the king who had everything. Wealth beyond calculation, 1,000 relationships, architectural projects that reshaped the landscape of an ancient world. Gardens and vineyards and servants and music and wine and wisdom. If anyone could answer the question of what makes life worth living by actually testing it, it was this man. And here is what he reports back. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed, all is Hevel and grasping for the wind. Ecclesiastes 1, verse 14. Grasping for the wind. That is not the language of someone who never tried. That is the language of someone who reached for everything and came back empty-handed. But here is what changes everything about this book if you misread its central term. Hevel does not mean that life is worthless. It means that life is not permanent. There is a difference. Breath is not nothing. Breath is essential. Breath is what keeps you alive. But you cannot hold it. You cannot store it. You breathe in and you breathe out, and the moment you try to grip it, it is already becoming something else. Qohelet is not a nihilist. He is a realist with open hands. And what he does with those open hands is remarkable. He watches. He catalogs. He thinks with extraordinary precision about the texture of human experience, and what he finds beneath the ordinary surface of life is a pattern so honest it takes your breath away. There is a time for everything. That is how chapter 3 begins. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 4. Most people hear that passage at funerals and weddings and think it is simply beautiful poetry. But Qohelet is making a philosophical argument. He is saying that you do not control the times. You live inside them. The seasons of your life are not arranged by your ambition or your fear. They arrive. And your work is not to manufacture them, but to recognize them and respond rightly when they come. He has planted this observation into something deeper. He writes that God has set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11. That is one of the most quietly devastating lines in the entire Bible. We are creatures with eternity stitched into us, longing for permanence, designed for something that outlasts Hevel, and yet we cannot see the full picture. We catch glimpses, we sense meaning, We feel, in certain moments, that something enormous is just behind the curtain, but we cannot pull it back. Not yet. Not from here. And Qohelet does not pretend otherwise. He does not offer easy resolution. He does not fast forward to the answer. He sits in the tension, and he thinks hard. And what he arrives at is not despair, but something far more interesting. He arrives at presence. Eat your bread with joy. Drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already approved what you do. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 7. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love, all the days of your Hevel life that he has given you under the sun. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10. This is not hedonism. This is not the philosophy of a man who gave up on meaning. This is the philosophy of a man who found meaning exactly where he least expected it. In the ordinary, in the given, in the moment that is actually here rather than the future he cannot control or the past he cannot retrieve. The first-century Jewish world would have read Ecclesiastes as a book about wisdom and its limits, and that reading is correct. But there is something underneath even that. Qohelet is conducting an experiment that every human being runs privately, usually alone, usually at 3 a.m. The experiment is this. If I achieve everything I want, will it be enough? And his answer, delivered with full intellectual honesty, is no. Not because achievement is bad, but because the human heart was not built to be satisfied by anything under the sun. That phrase, under the sun, appears 29 times in this book. Under the sun. As if the writer is constantly flagging a limitation. Everything I am describing, he says, is under the sun. There is something above it. He does not say much about what that is. He points toward it. He lets the gap do its work. And the book ends not in despair, but in a startling directness. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14. After 38 repetitions of Hevel, after all the searching and the honesty and the cataloging of loss, Qohelet lands here. Not in cynicism, in orientation. Life is breath. Life is fleeting. And precisely because it is fleeting, it matters how you live it. Because someone is keeping account of things that Hevel cannot touch. Here is what I want you to sit with. If you are in a season right now that feels like vapor, like you worked hard and built something and watched it dissolve, like you loved someone and lost them, like you did everything right and still ended up here in this particular difficulty you did not choose, Qohelet is not going to tell you it was all worthless. He is going to tell you something far more useful. He is going to tell you that this feeling is ancient, that the wisest man who ever lived felt it too, that the disorientation you are carrying is not a sign that you missed God, but that you were built for something more permanent than what this world can give you. The longing you feel is not a malfunction. It is a signal. Hevel. Breath. Here and gone. And yet Qohelet watched 38 moments of breath and refused to stop looking for the one who breathes. That is Ecclesiastes. Not the most comfortable book in the Bible, the most honest one. If this study meant something to you, subscribe and leave a comment, even one word. Share it with someone who is in a season of searching, someone who needs permission to be honest about what they have found and what they have lost. Pray for us as we keep digging into these texts, and may the God who set eternity in your heart meet you in whatever season you are walking through.